verse 58 here in chapter 6. Now therefore, just First Maccabees 6:58. Now therefore, let us be friends with these men, and make peace with them, and with all their nation, and the covenant with them, and they shall live after their laws, as they did before. For they are therefore displeased, and have done all these things, because we abolished their laws. So the king and the princes were content. Wherefore he sent unto them to make peace, and they accepted thereof. Also the king and the princes made an oath unto them, whereupon they went out of the stronghold. Then the king entered into Mount Sion, but when he saw the strength of the place, he brake his oath that he had made, and gave commandment to pull down the wall round about. Afterward departed he in all haste, and returned to Antiochia, where he found Philip to be master of the city. So he fought against him, and took the city by force. Okay, and that's something that happened here. Napoleon agreed to recognize Haitian independence, and Toussaint agreed to retire from public life. So they made an oath, a covenant. A few months later, the French invited Toussaint to come to a negotiating meeting Toussaint to come to a negotiating meeting with full safe conduct. When he arrived, the French, at Napoleon's orders, betrayed the safe conduct and arrested him, putting him on a ship headed for France. Napoleon ordered that Toussaint be placed in a prison dungeon in the mountains, and murdered by means of cold, starvation, and neglect. Toussaint died in prison, but others carried on the fight for freedom. And that was via historywiz.com / Toussaint.htm. Okay, and that brings to mind another scripture. But basically the same thing happened. Esau makes a covenant, then a little bit later he goes against the covenant, kills Jake, man. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to get this in Sirach, though. You know, his brother should know what scripture I'm going for. Sirach 12, verse 10. So 12 and 10. Never trust thy enemy, for like as an iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. And the white man is your enemy, so you're not to trust him. And hey, that right there was proof. The son fucked up in trusting this white man, Napoleon, because it got him killed, man. You know what I'm saying? That happened to Jake Shearer and the Maccabees. When our people were stupid enough to actually believe that the so-called white man was going to honor an agreement or a covenant, you know. We're going to go to 1 Maccabees 7, starting at the 5th chapter. 1 Maccabees 7, starting at the 5th verse. There came unto him all wicked and ungodly men of Israel, having Alchemius, who was desirous to be high priest, for their captain. And they accused the people to the king, saying, Judas and his brethren have slain all thy friends, and have driven us out of our own land. Now therefore send some men who thou trustest, and let him go and see what havoc he have made among us, and in the king's land, and let him punish them with all them that aid him. Then the king chose Maccabees, a friend of the king, who ruled beyond the flood, and was a great man in the kingdom, and faithful to the king. And him he sent with the wicked Alchemius, whom he made high priest, and commanded he should take vengeance of the children of Israel. So they departed, and came with a great power into the land of Judea, where they sent messengers to Judas and his brethren, who with peaceable words deceitfully. There's more of that deceitful, more peaceable, deceitful words, just like they did to some. This is verse 11. But they gave no heed to their words, for they saw that they were come with a great power. But see, they didn't fall for it this time. Verse 12. Then did he assemble unto Alchemius and Bacchides a company of scribes to require justice. Now the Assyrians were the first among the children of Israel that sought peace of them. For they said, one that is a priest of the seed of Aaron is come with us, with this army, and he will do us no wrong. So, these were, Levites, and they said, look, this is another Levite that's coming, he's of the seed of Aaron. He ain't gonna fuck us over, right? Which is Alchemius. Verse 15. Now, so he spake unto them peaceably, and sware unto them, saying, we will pronounce the harm neither of you nor your friends. Whereupon they believed him, howbeit, see, they ended up falling for it. Wherefore they believed him, howbeit he took of them 70 men, and slew them in one day, according to the words which he wrote. The flesh of thy saints have they cast out, and their blood have they shed round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. Wherefore the fear and dread of them fell upon all the people, who said, there is neither truth nor righteousness in them, for they have broken the covenant and oath that they made. Same thing that happened in the last example. I'm going to keep going though. After this, remove Maccabees, or however you say his name, from Jerusalem, and pitched his tents in Bezeth, where he sent and took many of them that had forsaken him, and certain of the people also, when he had slain them, he cast them into the great pit. Then committed he the country to Alchemius, and left with him power to aid him. So Maccabees went to the king, but Alchemius contended for the high priesthood, and unto him restored all such as troubled the people, who after they have gotten the land of Judah into their power did much hurt in Israel. So basically what happened is Esau endorsed basically a figurehead to become the high priest, which was at that time there was no king in Israel, so the high priest is the most important role and position in Israel. So they endorsed that Alchemius wicked ass come in there. They lied, they broke a covenant, they fucked over the righteous, and they put this figurehead up in there, man, this talking head up in there to be the high priest, and then he put a wicked regime together, and they did much hurt to Israel, man. All right, which is similar to this excerpt I'm about to get. Which happened to Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Henry Christophe, man. All right, or Christophe Salat, which I'm gonna get to right now. Disaffected members of Dessalines' administration, including Alexander Pichon, which Alexander was an Edomite. He was a tear because he was what was called there was a mulatto population or a free people of color population in Haiti, and those people were actually just Edomites. They had Levite mothers. That's all it was, and Alexander was one of them. And Henry Christophe began the conspiracy to overthrow the emperor. Dessalines was assassinated north of the capital city, Port-au-Prince, at Port Lanage, now known as Port Rouge, on the 17th of October, 1806, on his way to fight the rebels. So, it's basically the same thing. Or I'm going to, it's a lot. There's more that's going to kind of clarify that. That was from the Wikipedia article on Jean-Jacques. Now we're going to go to the Wikipedia article on Henry Christophe to kind of show what that was all about. And the reason why he conspired with that Edomite in taking down this Jake. In 1811, Henry declared the northern state of Haiti a kingdom and had himself crowned by Colonel Bruel, the Archbishop of Milo. So toward the end of Christophe's reign, public sentiment opposed that many consider his feudal policies of forced labor, which he intended to use to develop the country. But the whole thing was, the whole reason he conspired with that cracker against Dessalines was he wanted to get the kingdom to himself, which is what he did. And he was crowned by the Archbishop of Milo. But when he was crowned, I don't even know why I didn't copy that. That part. But basically, when he was crowned, he basically the term he gave himself was like king and high priest, essentially. You see what I'm saying? So he's basically the same dude as Alchemius. He conspired with the cracker to take down again the just Jake, so he could get that power and that throne and sit in his seat. That was from his Wikipedia article. Now I'm gonna go to another excerpt. This is Christophe was black like Dessalines, but he lacked Dessalines' consuming racial hatred. That's why he collaborated with that cracker, man. He was being a faggot, man. He was having sympathy or with this white man. He didn't hate the white man with the perfect hatred like Dessalines did. Under this system, a black leader served as figurehead for mulatto elitist rule. And that was the same thing. You had a black leader who existed as a figurehead for the Edomite rule, because those mulatto elitists were just Edomites. It's the same thing. And that was via countrystudies.us/Haiti/12.htm. So, y'all can check that out if y'all want to. But basically, yeah, Henry Christophe is Alchemius. They're the same dude, man. They got together with the white man. They conspired against, another Israelite, took him down, and he became a figurehead for him. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna skip up here though to verse 40. I'm going to read 40 to 50. But Judas pitched in Adasa with 3,000 men, and there he prayed, saying, O Lord, when they that were sent from the king of the Assyrians blasphemed thine angel, went out and smote 185,000 of them, even so destroy thou this host before us this day, that the rest may know that he hath spoken blasphemy against thy sanctuary, and judge thou him according to his wickedness. So the 13th day of the month Adar, the host joined battle, but Nicanor's host was discomfited, and he himself was first slain in the battle. Now when Nicanor's host saw that he was slain, they cast away their weapons and fled. Then they pursued after them a day's journey from Adasa unto Gezerah, sounding an alarm after them with their trumpets. Whereupon they came forth out of all the towns of Judea round about, and closed them in, so that they, turning back upon them that pursued them, were all slain with the sword, and not one of them was left. Afterward they took the spoils of the prey, and smote off Nicanor's head and his right hand, which he stretched out so proudly, and brought them away, and hanged them up toward Jerusalem. For this cause the people rejoiced greatly, and they kept that day a day of great gladness. Moreover, they ordained to keep yearly this day, being the 13th of Adar. Thus the land of Judah was in rest a little while. Okay, so this is similar to this situation that occurred here. Boyer was also maintained a huge corrupt army and civil service that constantly preyed on a rural population. Now Boyer was another Edomite, was another mulatto, which is really an Edomite, but he had took over for Alexander after his death. And what he was doing, he was had a corrupt army and had a civil service that constantly preyed on the rural population, which were Levites, actual Israelites, which he was just a terror. I'm going to continue. The gap between the black peasants in the countryside and the mulattoes of the towns grew during Boyer's presidency. The corruption of Boyer's rule and the stagnation of the economy finally led to a rebellion in 1843 that forced Boyer to flee to Jamaica and then to Paris, where he died. And that was via Britannica.com, the Encyclopedia Britannica's article on Jean-Pierre Boyer. Okay, now it's pretty much the same thing. Even though Boyer didn't die in the rebellion, he was our people, the Levites, rebelled against them and ousted them, basically. You know what I'm saying? The same thing because of what his army was doing to our people. The same thing with Nicanor. You understand what I'm saying? This is 1 Maccabees 8 and 18. Yeah. And this is I'm gonna start at 17. In consideration of these things, Judas chose Eupolymius, the son of John, the son of Achos, and Jason, the son of Eleazar, and sent them to Rome to make a league of amity and confederacy with them, and to entreat them that they would take the yoke from them, for they saw that the kingdom of the Grecians did oppress Israel with servitude. They went therefore to Rome, which was a very great journey, and came into the Senate, where they spake and said, Judas Maccabeus with his brethren and the people of the Jews have said unto you to make a confederacy and peace with you, and that we might be registered your confederates and friends, so that matter pleased the Romans well. And this is the copy of the epistle which the Senate wrote back again in the tables of brass and sent to Jerusalem, that there they might have by them a memorial of peace and confederacy. Good success be to the Romans and to the people of the Jews by sea and by land forever. The sword also of the enemy be far from them. If there come first any war upon the Romans or any of their confederates throughout all their dominion, the people of the Jews shall help them as the time shall be appointed with all their heart. Neither shall they give anything unto them that make war upon them, or aid them with victuals, weapons, money, or ships, as it have seemed good unto the Romans, but they shall keep their covenants without taking anything thereof. So basically, the Maccabees had our people make a covenant with the Romans, and this happened in history with the Haitians and America, as we're going to see right here. Not only with America, but other Edomite countries. To fight other Edomite countries. Just like what's happening here, they wanted the Romans to help assist them in fighting the Greeks. crackers and crackers. This is read this real quick. Saint Domingo played a large role in the American War of Independence. Much of the weapons, ammunitions, and men France contributed to that cause went through Saint Domingo. The Marquis de Lafayette himself traveled to America through Saint Domingo, and many Saint Dominguans of all races, meaning both Levites and Simeonites, and classes, fought on the side of the American patriots throughout the Revolution, through the concluding battle at Yorktown. So see, this is something that they don't tell you about in history, that you actually had Israelites that were fighting and assisting America in getting its independence. Perhaps the most celebrated of these were the 500 to 800 free blacks and mulattoes. So you had 500 to 800, actual Levites and the Edomites with Levitical moms, who fought under the Vicomte Francois de Fontage, I think, in the Battle of Savannah, Georgia, in October of 1779, whose ranks reportedly included the then 17-year-old Sergeant Henry Christophe, and later became one of Toussaint's generals, and later still King Christophe. With the collapse of so that was one instance of Levi, much like the Maccabees, had to leave with Rome and to fight other crackers, man. You see what I'm saying? Now this is another instance. With the collapse of negotiations, Toussaint went over to the Spanish, who controlled the other 2/3 of Hispaniola on the eastern side of the island, who were allied with the British. Toussaint and the other leaders were commissioned as generals in the Spanish army and began to fight the French forces on the western side. So that's another instance of our people making a league with these crackers to fight these other crackers. This is the same thing that was happening in 1 Maccabees, the 8th chapter. And that was via SchillerInstitute.org's article on Toussaint Louverture. Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead here to 1 Maccabees 9. And I'm going to go to 5. I'm going to start at verse 5. And this was kind of this is about basically the downfall of Judas Maccabee. Now Judas had pitched his tents at Eleasa, and 3,000 chosen men with him, who seeing the multitude of the other army to be so great, were sore afraid. Whereupon many conveyed themselves out of the host, insomuch as there abode of them no more but 800 men. When Judas therefore saw that his host slipped away, and the battle pressed upon him, he was sore troubled in mind and much distressed, for that he had no time to gather them together. Nevertheless unto them that remained, he said, Let us arise and go up against our enemies, if peradventure we may be able to fight with them. But they dehorted him, saying, We shall never be able. Let us now rather save our lives, and hereafter we will return with our brethren and fight against them, for we are but few. Then Judas said, The Most High forbid that I should do this thing and flee away from them. If our time be come, let us die manfully for our brethren, and let us not stain our honor. With that the host of Maccabees removed out of their tents and stood over against them, their horsemen being divided in their troops, in 2 troops, and their slingers and archers going before the host, and they that marched in the forward were all mighty men. As for Maccabees, he was in the right wing. So the host drew near on the 2 parts and sounded their trumpets. They also of Judas' side, even they sounded their trumpets also, so that the earth shook at the noise of the armies, and the battle continued from morning till night. Now when Judas perceived that Maccabees and the strength of his army were on the right side, he took with him all the hardy men, who discomfited the right wing and pursued them unto the mount as a toast. But when they of the left wing saw that they of the right wing were discomfited, they followed upon Judas and those that were with him hard on the heels from behind, whereupon there was a sore battle, insomuch as many were slain on both parts. Judas was killed, and the remnant fled. Then Jonathan and Simon took Judas their brother and buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers in Modin. Moreover, they bewailed him, and all Israel made great lamentations for him, and mourned many days, saying, how was the valiant man fallen that delivered Israel? And as for other things concerning Judas and his wars and the noble acts which he did and his greatness, they are not written, for they were very many. So basically, what happened, kind of here in this situation, which I'm gonna touch on it a little later, more. But basically, what happened in this situation was Judas kind of was having a lack of faith, and that kind of led to his downfall in this situation. As you can see there, he wasn't coming into battle as he was doing on other occasions, where he was, giving, hey, don't be afraid, giving all glory to the Most High, the Most High, he gonna be with us, and he gonna take this down. He was being iffy. He was having a lack of faith, and he had just made a league with the Romans, and I think both of those factors contributed to his downfall in this situation. Not to take away from the great acts that he did and the great man that he was, and the faith that he had in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but in these two instances, he slipped, and that is what led to his downfall. Many other righteous men had slipped and had downfalls in the scriptures. Not saying that they weren't righteous men, but in these instances, they slipped. Ultimately, it was all through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because, he had to go down, As his dynasty, the Hasmonean dynasty, many great men rose out of it to rule Israel, but eventually it went down, you know what I'm saying? And it was infiltrated by the so-called white man. I'm going to keep reading here, though, in 1 Maccabees 9. In order 23. Now after the death of Judas, the wicked began to put forth their heads in all the coasts of Israel, and there arose up all such as wrought iniquity. In those days also was there a very great famine, by reason whereof the country revolted, and went with them. Then Maccabees chose the wicked men, and made them lords of the country, and they made inquiry and search for Judas's friends, and brought them unto Maccabees, who took vengeance of them, and used them despitefully. So was there a great affliction in Israel, the like whereof was not since the time that a prophet was not seen among them. So what happened was, you have wicked men in Israel who rose up. They collaborated with Maccabees, or however you say his name, and basically wrought iniquity in Israel, much iniquity in Israel. Okay, and I'm gonna read this historical excerpt. From 1915 to 1934, the U.S. Marines imposed harsh military occupation, murdered Haitian patriots, and diverted 40% of Haiti's gross domestic product to U.S. bankers. Haitians were banned from government jobs. Ambitious Haitians were shunted into the puppet military, setting the stage for a half century of U.S.-backed military dictatorship. For the next 19 years, the U.S. Marine Corps wielded supreme authority throughout Haiti. Within several years, however, charges of massacres of Haitian peasants were made against the military as Haitians revolted. The same thing. They rose up and the United States government massacred them. The same thing was happening here in the book of Maccabees, the 9th chapter. In one such incident at Fort Riviere, the Marines killed 51 Haitians without sustaining any casualties themselves. Assistant Secretary of the Navy Franklin D. Roosevelt awarded Major Smedley D. Butler the Congressional Medal of Honor. So you actually had Americans that actually received medals of honor and valor and got celebrated for doing this to our people. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Reports of U.S. military abuses against the Haitians became so widespread that the NAACP official James Weldon Johnson headed a delegation to investigate the charges, which they deemed to be true. Okay, and that was all via the Democratic Underground. Okay, now I'm gonna keep reading here though.